My name is James Harper. I'm 52 years old, and I live in Riverside, California. I've worked for almost 30 years as a groundskeeper in an old cemetery in town, the Greenwood Memorial Park. It's a vast place with tombstones dating back more than 100 years. I've seen graves from as far back as the 1800s. Burying people has become routine for me. Rich, poor, children, adults, every life ends, and every tomb tells a story. Every day I walk through rows of worn stones, doing maintenance, digging, organizing. It's physical, heavy work, but it's what pays my bills. Over time, you learn to deal with death as if it were just another part of the scenery. But there's one grave that isn't like the others. The older workers warned me about it. They speak softly, avoiding eye contact. It's the grave of the Callahan family in Sector Delta, Lot 5. A tall mausoleum of gray marble with cracks carved by time. The name Callahan is engraved at the top, and below it, 7 names, all family members, all who died in the same month, September 1974. When I got hired around 1995, I was just 22, the youngest there. On my first day, I was shown around by Mr. Sullivan, the oldest keeper, nearly 70, but still strong enough to work. He was quiet, didn't talk much, but he had this calm authority. He showed me every corner, every row of tombstones, and when we reached the Callahan mausoleum, he stopped. He stared at it like he was seeing something beyond the marble. Then he turned to me and said in a low voice, James, you can take care of any part of this place except this mausoleum. If you ever have to go inside, don't go alone. That was the first time I felt the weight of the place. As time passed, I began hearing whispers of stories. Sullivan told me about the night the Callahan family was buried. He had taken part in that burial, young, around 23, and said he would never forget it. The first to die were 3 small children. The official cause was food poisoning, but some said there was something darker, something an autopsy couldn't explain. Less than a week later, the family's grandmother died of sudden cardiac arrest. Shortly after, the mother was found drowned in her own bathtub, and one of the uncles suffered a fatal fall down the stairs. Finally, the father, Edward Callahan, was found hanged, an apparent suicide. 7 deaths in under 30 days. A ritual, some claimed. A pact, others whispered. When they sealed the mausoleum for good, Sullivan said he and 5 other men heard voices coming from inside. Not just crying, he described it as a thick kind of weeping, wet somehow, mixed with short, sharp giggles. And finally, a deep male voice laughing. Don't think it was an echo, he told me. It was real, and it was inside. He lit a cigarette as he told the story, something he rarely did. He described the cold that washed over them, how one of the workers dropped his shovel and ran. The priest gave a quick blessing and left without looking back. Sullivan ended with a sentence that stuck with me. Never go in there alone. For years, I dismissed some of that, thinking it was just old men's superstition. But in 1999, I had my own experience. It was a hot summer morning, and I was cutting grass near the mausoleum. The sunlight felt normal, but suddenly I started hearing giggles, low, childlike voices, like kids playing behind the marble wall. As I walked closer, the laughter grew clearer, sharper. When I placed my hand on the marble, I felt a tightness in my chest, like invisible hands squeezing me from the inside. Breathing became difficult, impossible. And then, in an instant, absolute silence. The voices vanished. I looked down and saw something strange. The grass around the mausoleum was burned, forming a perfect circle. There was no smoke, no ash, just dead vegetation, as if something invisible had consumed it. My heart raced, and I ran to find Sullivan. When I told him what happened, he only nodded and gave a sad half smile. Welcome to the club, James. I felt that for the first time when I was young. And since then, Well, this place never lets us go. He admitted the feeling was real, but said even he didn't have all the answers. In the following years, other workers told me similar stories, each one more unsettling than the last. Mrs. Thompson, a former caretaker, once found the mausoleum door slightly open, even though it had been sealed with cement decades earlier. She heard children's voices singing behind the walls and saw human like shadows moving inside. She said she fainted after seeing faceless figures sitting down, silently watching her. Now, I walk past that mausoleum almost every day. Sometimes I feel the tightness in my chest, other times I feel nothing. It seems to depend on my mood, on what I've accepted. But I know that place is more than stone. There's something in there, something that never rested. And maybe that's for the best, because some questions are more dangerous than answers.